Namatame's the killer. He must have been the one who wrote it.
Let's review them.
Isn't that kinda odd? Would someone who thinks he's saving people by killing them write stuff?
Yeah, and the will be put in and killed part doesn't make sense either. If the killer was writing it, wouldn't it be more like I'll put in and kill?
Hey, could this mean... Yeah, it's almost like...
But only the killer would write such a letter and deliver. If someone else wrote it, that could only mean...
Dear God, since this is such an unusual case, I was absolutely convinced that other than the Kubo incident, there was...
So, Namatame really was trying to save his victims?
Everything is exactly... In Namatame's parlance, failing would have been the first two cases when the... If he had used his method twice and failed both times, it all seems to suggest that someone else wrote this warning.
It wasn't Namatame that killed Saki-senpai and the announcer?
We can't say for certain yet. We urgently need to speak with Namatame.
How though? After what happened yesterday,
I have a plan, but there's no time to waste.
Hey, this place is off limits.
I'm a consultant. I'd like a few words with Namatame-san. May I?
This is Unit 25. Name of Naoto. Well, you're on the list. I can give you a few minutes, but I'll have to record your conversation. Not that I expect you'll get anything coherent out of the guy.
I'd like him to accompany me as well. He has no identification, but this is an emergency situation.
Huh? Detective Dojima sent him?
I'll vouch for his identity.
Well, I guess it's better than dealing with the man himself. We have our hands full with the transport procedures, so the last thing we need is Detective Dojima running wild. Detective Adachi is busy somewhere too. This is Unit 252.
Has something happened?
There's something about a suspicious object.
Ah, well then, You should back up your colleagues downstairs. We'll keep watch over Namatame. A disturbance in a hospital lobby, after all.
If anything happens, hit the nurse call button. I'll leave the...
Understood. I knew they were undermanned, but I didn't expect it to go...
Wow!
There's nothing much inside that suspicious, so he won't be gone long.
All right, and now's our chance to talk to Namatame.
Namatame-san, there's something we'd like to ask you. It's tempting to think that you were the... And to be honest, there are many, but we are here to learn the truth.
Huh?
Huh?
I couldn't say. No. If nobody saves them, that's why.
Then tell me if my estimation. After discovering the Yamano and Konishi incidents, you realized an appearance on the Midnight Channel. Thus, to save her from that fate, you kidnapped. You couldn't let her be killed, so you threw her into the TV, preventing the killer in this world from reaching her. And you repeated the process as more individuals appeared on the Midnight Channel. It all falls into place. His body is weak, but his mind is sound.
Yeah, but if the stuff he's saying is true...
There's another killer who murdered the first two.
Indulge us in a few more questions.
What are you... I have no idea. I never thought...
As I thought.
You... Did they find him? Did they find the one who did such cruel things? My...
Please calm down. Our ability to find the culprit rests. We know about the... In fact, we're the only...
Only...
We did blame you for everything at first, but now I think we can accept whatever you got to tell.
Please, tell us everything you can.
You're willing to listen? All right. Soon after my affair with Mayumi became common, I returned to my parents' home, and I started drinking heavily to drown. I hadn't been able to reach Mayumi at all. Mayumi, where are you? She'd been disgraced on all the afternoon shows and forced to resign from the program she was on. I caused her so much trouble. I lost the will and energy. Then, one day, the rumor I heard some time ago came back to me. Since I had nothing better to do, I sat down blankly in front of the TV. And all of a sudden... Mayumi? The Mayumi inside the TV. Mayumi? When I reached out unthinkingly to touch her, my arm disappeared into the TV. I was so shocked that I lost my balance. I was so scared. I couldn't understand what just happened. In the end, I decided to think of it as just a dream. The next afternoon when I got to work, I was fired on the spot. That wasn't what broke me, though. It was Mayumi. And not just that, but it had happened in my... I was dumbstruck. But later on, was it not a dream? Could it really have been an SOS from Mayumi? I hadn't touched another TV because the first time was so terrifying, and I confirmed that none of it was a dream. So that image... was it something Mayumi showed me? That's how I felt.
And eventually, you learned of the Midnight Channel.
I remembered that when Mayumi was alive, she was chasing a rumor. I'd heard about it before, but I thought it was just an... Then Mayumi appeared on it, and later turned up dead. The more I thought about it, the harder it became to believe that the two events were unrelated. Soon after that, I came back and lost my job, and then, on another rainy night, someone else appeared on the mid. She looked like she was calling for help, just like Mayumi. The first thing that came into my mind.
And that was Saki-senpai.
I'd been following all the news about Mayumi, so I noticed right away that she was the girl, and if my hunch was right, she'd be the next victim. I didn't want her to die the way so I desperately kept watching. I was consumed with the idea. Then, little by little,
It became sharper.
How did you find out it was her?
after I came back, my father couldn't bear to see me in such low spirits, and gave me a job. I met that girl when I delivered a package to the liquor store. After agonizing over it, I decided to meet her, and but that same night, she looked as if she was being engulfed by some black shape. She was writhing in pain. That's why I warned her. Why won't she pick up the phone? Come on! The next day, I knew she was going to be murdered. I blamed myself, thinking there was no one who depended on me. Nobody at work, not even my wife. Mayumi was the only one who accepted me, but she was murdered. And the same person killed another girl. I was beside myself. I couldn't forgive myself for doing nothing.
You really did love Miss Yamano.
Yes. Before I was married, my wife made it big in show business. I was happy for her, but
I think I can kind of
it was around that time when I met Mayumi. She was interviewing our candidates. She was a big-name announcer, but she only worked with local stations. We both came from Inaba, so she was easy to talk to. She gave meaning. Soon after Saki-san was found dead, that... She'll be kidnapped next. And I can't let her end up like Mayumi and that other girl. My opponent was a murderer who left no clues to his identity. I thought hard about what I could do to... I'll never convince her. If she gets suspicious and they arrest me... The girl inside the TV... And that's when it hit. I apparently had the power to go through the TV screen to the other... Then, what if I put her into the TV? What are you trying to tell me? That it's safe? The girl inside the... And I thought, no matter what kind of place it might be, once things calm down, I could just... If she's inside the TV, it felt as if everything... Could it be that Mayumi gave me... Was it my... But there was a... If I explained the situation to the victim, they wouldn't understand. I had already tried that and failed miserably. It seemed the only thing I could do was to take them away. If that was my mission, I'd just have to do it. Or so I thought. Mayumi, please lend...
So, since you thought people who appeared on the Midnight Channel would be killed, you kidnapped us in order to save us.
Mission? Give me a break!
never stopped and wondered about any of this?
I thought I was the only one who could help them. I knew the area well, thanks to my job. I had a large truck. I thought my job as a delivery man would be the perfect cover for my mission. I thought no one else could do it.
If a person is still within the TV, beginning with Yukiko-san, the people you thought you had been, it was my friends here who really saved us all.
I had a feeling. When I went after that little girl and entered the TV myself,
You refer to...
the police were after me, so I had... But I still felt I needed to do everything I could to save them. That's why I went in after her. But the TV world was completely different than I imagined. I knew that the three of you who I saved went back to your normal... I never knew. You couldn't even get out of that... I'd probably already begun to realize that it was a dangerous place. If I hadn't...
See us? Wait, are you talking about the
Yes. I wanted to know why the ones I saved were all but in the end, I couldn't bring myself to say anything and ran home. But all the doubts and anxieties I'd been unconsciously suppressing exploded out when I entered the television myself. I thought I was going insane. And you know the rest. When I came to...
You really were trying to...
But I ended up doing just the opposite. I always wanted to enter the world of politics. But after losing my job and the woman I loved, I convinced myself that world was some sort of sanctuary. I never doubted what I saw on TV. I didn't think for myself at all. I'm to blame. I suppose so. But the things I have no intentions of... Kidnapping is already a serious crime.
The Midnight Channel and the other world? You can hardly be blamed for... We must apologize to you as well. Had we let our emotions blind us to the truth, we would have...
I guess from your point of view, people did stop dying once you started saving people. The more you did it, the more you really believed you were preventing...
I'm sorry.
What are you all crammed in here for?
My apologies. We'll be leaving now.
Wait. I beg you, please, find whoever's behind this. You children.
It's all clear now. It was another party who threw the first...
I told you, he's almost ready to be Sheesh, I better not see...
Nanako-chan looks like she's in pain.
This was the last place we saw Teddy, right?
How can he flake out like this when we have to find...
The police consider the matter closed. Let's revisit Saki-san and Miss Yamano's incidents and see if we...
But it's been over 6 months.
I know, but we can't give up. We're the only ones who understand, and you never know. People might remember some things now because they've had so much time. Let's split up and talk to people all over town. We'll meet up in the evening to discuss our findings.
I hope we can find out something about Teddy, too.
seriously, this stuff's a lot harder when you don't have a badge to flash.
It was the same for me. There was absolutely no talk about the case whatsoever.
Ditto for me. Actually, in my case, I kept getting bombarded with questions and couldn't get them onto the main subject at all. The killer must be pretty good to have pulled this off.
What should we do?
Well, one steak bowl, please.
That's not what I meant. But then again, I'll have a crab and egg fried rice.
I'll have roast pork ramen with extra noodles.
Let's share what we learned. So, there really was no...
The police had an unusually large number of officers. To find facts that even they overlooked would be difficult indeed. Now, there wasn't a single report of suspicious persons. Miss Yamano had ardent fans, whereas Saki-san didn't. But otherwise, the conditions are the same.
You know, every time I tried to ask about the case, everyone ignored me and kept ranting about the damn fog.
Yeah, that or the midnight. I asked around about Teddy, too. Gee.
Do you have anything, Naoto? Any new,
But there must be someone in town who meets all the criteria. The killer must have a connection to, as well as be in a position to observe our actions periodically. Finally, it must be someone who could approach Senpai's house without... I need some fresh air before I give it more thought. It's snowing.
Maybe this'll help clear my head and get my... Hey, is it snowing? Too bad the fog's so thick. The snow just gets lost. What's the matter?
Detective Adachi. A member of the police force. It would certainly explain the lack of witness. It's the same reason no one ever reported seeing...
This is a small town, so everyone must... And since he's a detective, people definitely wouldn't...
In fact, he could use his position to his advantage.
Huh. Well, if you think of it that way... But we're talking about Adachi here, right? I mean, really? Adachi? He's your textbook lousy detective? Are we really on the right track here?
Actually, I'm not sure how to put it, but there's...
Yeah?
Perhaps it's just my imagination.
It's cold. I think we've...
That can't be. I mean, he's...
What? Was he...
When Miss Yamano was staying at our inn, That's when Adachi-san arrived, saying he'd been assigned to guard her.
Guard her? He didn't spend...
Huh. I wonder if he knew Ms. Yama.
I don't know about that, but I heard he did call out. But I thought, you know, that's...
Detective Adachi also questioned Saki-san. I heard it was because there was so little... It's certainly unusual to question someone with...
Then you think he had something else?
And that something is what connects those two victims to Adachi. Come to think of it. And every time he'd tell us what the police were doing before saying, oops, I see. Was that all to throw us off the trail?
It would be no problem for him to not to mention...
And
This is still only a tentative theory. This is now Something has occurred to me about the case, and I'd like to get Detective Adachi's input on... Huh? The transport? It's right now? Right, I see.
What was that?
Detective Adachi is headed to the hospital to prepare for We must head there at once.
Huh? What are you guys doing here? Hey, do you know where Dojima-san went? They told me he's not...
I assure you, we've made it clear to him several times that...
Jeez, with Namatame finally relocated.
So, I've been wondering. You seem to be in a...
Huh? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we can't leave him here with Dojima-san and... Didn't you guys think so too? Hey, what are you doing here anyway? Nanako-chan's room is... Don't you think you should leave before Dojima-san finds you?
Adachi, there's been a lot of noise today for some reason.
Dojima-san! Namatame's already been relocated.
You did what? Who authorized that? There's still...
Give me a break.
Those first two moves, his motives are shaky and his alibi is rock solid. We closed a lot of loopholes on the basis of his testimony.
Is this more of your detect... He's already been relocated. It's no use hassling me about it. And you kids should really get home
What's gotten into you today?
Come on! I'm always... You should get back to work too, Dojima-san. Your current assignment?
What are you all doing?
We came to confirm...
The time the announcer went missing? I can't say for sure offhand. That was months and months ago too. My memory's... Why wouldn't I question her? She discovered... But she didn't know much about it, so I only talked... Was that all you wanted to ask? Warning letter?
The one that was delivered to his house. It's in police custody.
I don't...
Hey, what do you mean you don't remember? I gave it to you to take down to the crime lab for processing.
Your accident was right after that, and besides, that... Jeez, what are you asking me? For crying out loud! Dojima-san, you really need to get back to your bed. And you all need to go home right now. Do you have any... I'm going back. I need to get...
Just one more thing, please. We know for certain now that the first two murders, someone else... Adachi-san, do you have...
I have no...
'Cause we think it might have been you.
What? We already know Namatame's the one who put them all in.
What did you just...
Put them all in. What's this putting them in? Do you know something about the method behind their murder? Don't tell me that all that talk about...
I see. To tell the truth, Adachi-san, I've been fixated on something. Before I didn't know why, only that it sounded a wrong note to me. Do you recall when I read Namatame's diary? At the time, I said, even the victims who survived and were never released. And in response, your words were, how, I wonder, would that at the time the police had... You had no reason to say... After all, there are countless examples of people... Yet when I read the list of names, you raised no objection. What do you say to that, detective?
I don't know. I said I'm busy.
Wait, you son of a bitch! Adachi! Ah! Adachi!
Damn it!
I contacted security. So he must be...
He's still here? But we looked! We didn't find him anywhere!